Oh, thank goodness. I woke up this morning, it was like it was my birthday or something. The very first page that I open is Belal Muhammad telling Kamaru Usman, straight up to Kamaru Usman, he used the media to do it, you lost and you don't get the next crack at it. Thank you. Why did this? Why? Why did this take? Why have none of you done that? Why has everybody accepted and moved aside for Kamaru Usman? Now, very reasonable explanation. He was the champion of the world. He was ranked number 1. He was winning the contest. Of course, he gets to redo it. Not to mention, it's a trilogy. Many people forget that about the Leon fight. Many people think that was the first time Kamaru and Leon fought. It wasn't. It was the second. Now, you split results, you go to a trilogy. That argument is going to win the day. Kamaru is going to get the opportunity. Fine. Why would the other argument not be made? Why wouldn't you remind the world of his loss? Why wouldn't you remind the world of the time he took the kick? Why wouldn't you remind the world of the time he couldn't close out a fight that he was winning against an opponent who he'd already beaten? Why wouldn't you remind... I loved it. I loved it, Belal. Nothing in this sport is done. You want to know who will tell you? Kamaru Usman will tell you that. Nothing is done until it's done. There was a WWE guy, and he was into the Hall of Fame. He got into the Hall of Fame. They made this big announcement. It was similar as we do in the UFC. It'll be like the surprise thing. Do you remember the day when Dana pops on and he tells Boss Rutan and they're live on TV, hey, Boss, you're going to this year's Hall of Fame. Like, it's a really exciting thing. Or when they told Khabib, but then you still got to get on the airplane. You still got to come out. Mom and Dad come and they bring the camera and they actually go through it. And now you're in the Hall of Fame. They did this in the WWE and they told this guy he was going into the Hall of Fame. Between the announcement and the time, something happened. Something happened. And it was silly, too. It was like an airline ticket or he missed his flight. It was something stupid. He didn't walk across the stage. They never put him back in. He, to this day, is not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, I just share with you, like, nothing's done. Nothing. And then even once you have it done, once you got the bird in the hand, once you got the marquee, you got the press release, right? And that's where everybody thinks it seems to stop. Like, every now and then, guys will come and they will battle for their spot. They'll battle for their recognition. They'll battle up to their opportunity up until a press release comes out. Then it's done. It's done, and you've got to move on to something else. Do you know how many times between a press release and fight night, do you have any idea how many times there is an opportunity? Do you know how many times there is a massive opportunity? I can think back, there was a huge fight. They were in Las Vegas. Sold out arena. I mean, this is way back. This is way, way back. But there was a guy named Khamzat Chimaev. He was a huge deal. People just loved him. There was another guy named Nate Diaz. They made it past the press release. They made it through the training camp. Some bitch, they made it past the airport and TSA. By God, they made it through the hotel lobby. Son of a gun, they made it through media week. The fight didn't happen. They both fought. The card went on. The arena was sold out. They didn't happen. And I could tell you those stories repeatedly. Kamaru Usman, true trilogy, was winning the fight. Yes, you give him the rematch. Does he end up in the rematch? I don't have to go back further than last week. Glover Teixeira was the #1 contender in a world title fight. He now is not. I'm just sharing for you to position and to put yourself in a position to step in and to fill in and bring this to the attention. Moreover, to speak about what something else won't speak about. Good for Belal Muhammad. There's another side to this story. There's a complete other side to you were champion and you got the opportunity. And as a matter of fact, Tyron Woodley gave it to you. You then gave that. You could fill in the blank, right? It's all of these guys. I never had the opportunity. Nobody ever gave me an opportunity. But I'm beating just as many men as you have. As a matter of fact, in the short term, I have a better record than you do. I have a common opponent as you. I got a no contest. You got knocked out. I'm just sharing for you. It never ends. It never ends. Making your argument and making your case and standing your ground never ends. And I appreciate that when Belal came out and brought this to everybody's attention. I really did. I, at this point, don't know what weight class Chimaev is. Last week, Dana White told somebody, I saw it with my own eyes and hurt my own ears, but he told somebody they're working on Chimaev versus Colby Covington. Great, that was last week. Last week, Chimaev himself tweeted to Alex Pereira, see you December 10th. So I'm just sharing with you, like, there's this active confusion. You don't ever fully know what's going on. And people will tell you the power of thought. They'll tell you the power of suggestion. They'll tell you the power of words, the power of the mind. Some people call it laws of attraction or the universe, right? They start to sound really weird when they do it, but they will tell you that, but they don't go and practice it. When I was growing up, there was something called a daily affirmation. It was like a joke was made of it. And they did. Phil Hartman, rest his soul, did it on Saturday Night Live. I love myself. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And doggone it, people like me. Like, they would do that. But you don't always see it in real life. You just hear about some coach or somebody telling you to. I feel as though Belal Muhammad is convincing himself in front of us. I really do. I've seen Belal fight outside of his gloves on more than one occasion, including his very last fight. Belal's very last fight, where there was all sorts of crazy pressure, and he gets put with an undefeated opponent. He gets pulled down to an undercard, and he goes out and he gets a stoppage. I mean, I feel as though, you would tell me how good Belal is or how good he's not. Great. I'll just use Luque as an example because they had already fought. That's the bar. I know where he's at against this specific opponent. Luque is not any worse today than he was then, so obviously Luque wins, but he didn't. But he didn't win. Belal did. Belal's training with the same guys. He's putting in the same amount of time. He's at the same weight class. What's the difference with Belal? It appears to me that he started to believe it. That's it. To me, that's what it appears to me as an outsider. I don't see him using new combinations. I don't see something that he's done different. But I do see where he's not afraid to step forward, to rock the boat, to put himself in interesting positions. I feel as though Belal is somebody who pays very close attention to the sport, the current landscape, but also the history of the sport. I really do feel that. Look, I take no pleasure, and I do tell you none, in what happened between Prochazka and Glover. And to further and strengthen my point of how much I do not like that happened, I've shared with you guys how little you care, right? I come over here, I talk to you things that you care about. I've never got a booby prize more in my entire time that I have talking about Prochazka and Glover. It does me no good. It's a sore subject, and there's no benefit because you guys don't care. But boy, if you don't think that there is a story that absolutely has to be studied, if you don't understand the importance of having Prochazka versus Glover, they waited 6 weeks they had 6 weeks to sign it and didn't want to do it. They begrudgingly went into it and then started a rumor that Jones and Stipe were going to fight. I mean, if there was ever a time that it was crystal clear, we don't want, but we're just going to have to deal with a match. Why? How come? What was different and what was missing? How do we change that for the future? How do we not end up in that same spot? How do I not wait? If I'm the true number one contender, I don't want to wait 6 weeks for it. If I'm the real number one contender, I want it in 6 minutes. How do I change that? Why'd that happen the first time? Prochazka and Glover is off. Ankalaev and Blachowicz is in. Not a single 205-pounder. Not a single licensed athlete in the sport of unarmed combat has spoken about that. Not for it, not against it, not even about it. For 3 years, Stipe, Francis, and Jon Jones have ran over here and done a little round robin that nobody tried to get in the business of. And I wake up this morning and the untouchable, the pound for pound king, the only guy who's ever been argued to be the greatest as George St. Pierre, even argued, Kamaru Usman, got called out. His standing and his opportunity got called out. It got called to everybody's attention. It got called out by Belal Muhammad. If you guys aren't appreciating these lessons and you're not appreciating that and what it represents, we're watching two different things.